Hello, everybody. Today we are talking with SEO legend Kyle Roof, and I suppose it will be a very great time to communicate about SEO and how it works in our uh, interesting niche. So I want to represent my friend Kyle Roof. Uh, just a moment. As I know, you are a main SEO strategist in SEO agency High Voltage. Also, you are responsible for development and implementation all SEO techniques in Page Optimizer Pro, and you are co-founder of Internet Marketing Gold global community of more than 3,000 SEO professionals, right?
That's correct. All correct.
Uh-huh.
You don't
Okay.
need you don't need to read it. You don't need to read anymore. That's fine.
Okay. Nice.
That's totally
Uh,
fine.
okay. Could you tell me what are you doing in High Voltage SEO? Is it your company? Are you a co-founder of this?
I'm the
Or
I am the co-founder and I was the lead SEO. I've taken a step back as a role in the company. I'm more on the board of directors now. But
Mhm,
I am involved when they have strategy questions. I just had a strategy meeting with the entire
mhm,
team and they run the hard questions by me, but I'm not involved in the day-to-day of the
mhm.
agency anymore.
Okay.
So as
Uh,
I understand, you have more practice according to your NCO routine. Uh, and I have learned from your official website that you have made more than 400 practical experiments. Could you please tell me something
oh,
about the most prominent experiments in the NCO field you have made this year?
Well, what's interesting is that every time I do tests, people always say, well, there was now an update, so that doesn't work anymore.
huh.
And um, and especially after this March core update, I heard a lot of people say that on-page SEO doesn't work anymore, and things like your H1 tag aren't important, or something like that. That Google isn't looking at that anymore. And so just last week we ran this test, a very simple test, and it's a test that I also ran in 2015 when I was first learning how to run SEO tests. Was is an H1 tag a factor? Is it a strong factor? And so a very simple test, we create 5 identical pages, and they're all ranking for the same keyword, and they're all identical. And then once they index, and we've got those 5, we put an H1 on the page that's at the bottom, and then we added one more keyword in paragraph text to the other 4, so the term count remains the same. The only difference now between these pages is that this page has an H1 on it. And of course, that page then shoots number 1,
Oh,
right to the top, instantly. And so it shows that yes, the H1 is still being considered by Google, and it is a stronger factor than just having text on the page. And so these are the types of tests that I run. For me, I knew that that's what would happen. But people, just every time there's an update, they're like, is this still relevant? Does this still work? And it always still works. It's always still relevant. Um, Last year, I spoke at SEO Estonia, excuse me, at Chiang Mai SEO, and that was also a theme, and that's something that I'm going to show at SEO Estonia, which is a conference. My next conference coming up is, yeah, we ran these tests in 2015, 2016, 2017, and they all still work. Even though there's a lot going on in SEO, the core ranking factors still remain the same, and that's actually a comforting thing that not everything has changed. We can still do SEO, we can still be successful, we can still make a lot of money doing this.
If we have started the topic about the last core update, I know it was there was a huge impact according to many niches and marketing segments. And if to talk about the websites you maintain, what industry was the most impactful according to this update?
Well, it's the same industry that Google's been going after for the last 5 or 6 years, and that's affiliate sites. They hate them. They hate them with a passion. And so every update has really targeted them or hit them the most. And this wasn't my idea. This came from Kazra Dash, who's a friend of mine, a fellow SEO speaker as well. And he had a really great observation. And that was, do you know what a doorway page is? A doorway page is where you rank for a keyword. Somebody
Yeah.
comes to it, they read it, and then when they want to buy or they want to do something, they have to go somewhere else. They're redirected to another page. Is a door page, and that is essentially what an affiliate page is. An affiliate page is a doorway page, and that is on Google's no-no list and has been on the list for quite some time. Things that they hate. So the idea is that you built a page just to rank for a keyword so that you could send somebody somewhere else. And now you're going to get a little money out of that. And Google hates that. And so I think what they've really done with the March core update and then with the HCU update from last year is they've really gone after those types of sites that are essentially doorway pages where the conversion happens off of the site. So it's not that Google cares that they're like affiliate sites, it cares where the conversion happens. And so the sites that have been impacted the most are the ones that have conversions that happen off of the page that ranks.
Okay.
Do you, okay, thanks a lot. Have you had their citations? Then the pages of the website, they are de-indexed, and then you are turning back them manually as an SEO specialist to Google search engine result page.
Wait, I'm sorry. So you're saying like you are de-indexed, or they've been de-indexed?
They've been
They've been de-indexed, yeah, by
Okay.
Google.
So that's a super hard thing. The first thing that I would do is I would change something on the page so that I have a new modified date, so that it's now a fresh page when it gets crawled. And then I would, at a minimum, submit it to Search Console to be recrawled. But I would also, if you don't have this already, I would have an HTML sitemap on the page. And HTML sitemap lists all of your URLs on the site. The way that Google likes to find a page is through a link. That's their preferred way of finding a link. And so you can have those lists of links on your site and ask Google to crawl that page. They can crawl over and maybe re-index. If that doesn't work, the next thing I would do is use Google's indexing API. It's not the easiest thing to access. You have to do it through Google, the cloud development platform that Google has. But something like SEO Press has integration with that. And I've gotten a lot of success of running pages through Google's indexing API and getting them to re-index.
Thanks a lot. If to talk about the content quality, do you use plagiarism checkers?
Plagiarism checkers. Yeah. Yeah. We do very basic, like with Copyscape or something like that. The bar for duplicate content, though, is very, very low. I've run a lot of tests on this. If you have blocks of content, like chunks of content, they really only need to be about 51% unique in order to pass Google's duplicate content checker. But if you go in and manually change individual words, you could probably change every 13th word and also get past Google's duplicate content checker. And there's a way you can check for this. You can see it because Google will show you when it filters pages out.
How do you think is it useful for SEO specialists to check content on plagiarism, or we do not do this for these days?
I don't think it's as big a problem as people think, because I heard some number, something like 30% of the internet is duplicate just because it has to be.
Yes.
Just just how that works. So I don't really have. I don't think it's as big a problem as people would make it out to be. I think it's a bigger issue having duplicate content on your own site. If you've got multiple pages that are the exact same thing, you're creating a problem on your own site, and Google's going to have issues with which page it should rank, if any of them, and And if you don't have canonical set up correctly, that's a much bigger issue than I think any duplicate content that might be across the web.
We have some questions from our chat. Is it okay? I will read them. Hi, Kyle. Can you explain more about how to do Centerpiece annotations, and are there any tools to help with that?
Sure, that's a great question. So Centerpiece annotation is the concept that Google talked about a couple years ago. What they say is they come to a page and they say, okay, we think this page is about frisbees, purple frisbees,
yeah.
The little thing you throw. Then they look at all the sections on that page and they want to make sure that all of the sections match purple frisbees. You're talking about purple frisbees. If they get to a section where you're talking about race cars, it has nothing to do with purple frisbee, they start to devalue the content. And so the content on your page will not get full credit. So the idea of Centerpiece annotation is that all the sections on your page need to match that concept that they think the page is about for your page to get full credit for all the factors that are on there. I think it's also very important to note in the last year and a half, I think the updates before HCU, 2 or 3 before that, I think Centerpiece annotation has moved from a page level to a site-wide level. Mm-hmm. So I think it's also very important so that not just your page is on point, but that your site is also on point. And that if you go too far afield, then I think Google will start to discount your site as a whole. And so it is, I think, an important thing that when you're doing topical coverage, where you're trying to cover an entire topic, that you don't go too far away in topical coverage. You are actually kind of staying in an area that is, this is what we're about. I don't know of any tools that specifically look at this type of an issue or look for this type of thing. But the little trick that I found, so you can be pretty sure that at least some of your sections on the page are correct, or everything like, how should I do this? Type in your keyword, scroll to the bottom, find the related searches. Pick the one you like. Pick the one you like the best. The one that is the direction that you want to write. Our page is going to be about this. Okay. Click on that one. Click on that one. Scroll to the bottom. Now you have 2 sets. Find the matching terms. Those are what you should write about. Those should be your first sections on the page, because then Google has shown you that these concepts are related and they are within Centerpiece annotation. Now, my tip for the site, and this is something that I'm working on right now, like maybe categories you can have. Do the search for your main term for the site, or main concepts for the site. And then in Google search, click the images tab. At the top, you're going to see a list of entities.
Oh.
Those entities are probably good for your page, but you'll notice that some of them are categories.
Good catch. Yes.
So then you can use those as categories for the site. So you can be like, how far can I go on this site, or where can I know is safe? Look at those categories, and then you can feel good that you're in a safe zone for the categories on the site. So you got the kind of the page Centerpiece annotation, and then a guideline for a site-wide Centerpiece annotation.
Nice. Okay, we have another question from Rasul. Hello, Kyle. Do you still use Web 2.0 for citation? If so, which of them?
Yeah, when I'm coming into a project, I really like to do that as a first step. So I'll use something like WhitePress or Bright Local, just to get the niche citations, like the ones you should get for your category, and then maybe ones for your location if you're doing like local SEO, or and get into the big data aggregator. So I'll do that first. The next thing I will do is I'll basically create my own citations through Web 2.0s, where I want to own the brand name. So like, the brand.wordpress.com, the brand.tumblr.com, the brand.issue.com. And then I'm not going to blog on those things, but on the one page, I'm going to put the business description, link to the homepage, the address of your NAP, name, address, phone number, that kind of stuff, so that I'm owning the brand name across the web and I'm creating my own citations through them. These are very safe links to do, but they're also the kind of links that Google talks about that they're looking for to understand what your brand is about. And one of the easiest ways just to do this is to use a site called knowem.com. Know is in KNOWEM.com. And you can put in your brand name and you can see which ones are available. You don't necessarily have to use their service, or you can, but that can give you a good list to go with there to do your own Web 2.0s.
So as I have understood, you work a lot citation flow metric. Could you please advise our community what citation flow is used to be healthy?
Citation flow is in through Majestic citation flow. I haven't played with that in a long time, to be honest with you. I'm not overly concerned with those types of third-party metrics for site strength. But I have not played with. I loved Majestic. They were one of my favorites, but I've gotten away from using
Majestic. One love.
I love Majestic so much. Actually, they are truly an excellent tool. But for the work that I do, I don't play with Moz, Majestic, SEMrush, or Ahrefs that much at all. So I can't really give too much guidance as to which direction to go there.
I see. And if to talk about the keyword density, do you track it or adjust it according to the content you create?
Sure. Yeah, I like more concepts of term frequency, keyword frequency within specific zones, specific areas on the site. So Google doesn't look at a page as a whole; it's looking at very specific areas on the site, such as your H1, H2, H3. It's looking at paragraph text. It's looking at even bold and italic from a very small percentage. But I want to see what term frequency I have within, say, all of my H2s. My term frequency specifically within paragraph tags. My term frequency within my title tag or my H1. And that's where I like to do my counts. And that's where I use my own tool. That's why I built the tool, was actually to do those counts and to do those sorts of things. And that's what Page Optimizer Pro does for me. And quite honestly, that's what's made me a lot of money in SEO.
Okay.
You make
Oksana?
a quick promotion about your tool and tell us more about the features.
We don't have to pitch my tool, but that's actually what the tool does. It's quite. So what I realized is when I was running my tests, Google's looking at different areas on the site, and Google really cares about how many times you're using terms in different areas. And so what we were doing is we're actually doing it by hand, because we were looking at the top competitors, getting all their counts. They were looking at our own site, doing our counts, and we realized that was absolutely impossible to do at scale. And that's exactly why we built the tool. And then I showed a couple friends. I was like, would you like this? Does this make sense? Because then I wrote an algorithm for the range that you want to use those terms so that it gives you the best chance for success. It's not a guarantee for success, but it's the idea of if you get these terms within these ranges, you have the best chance to succeed for the on-page portion of SEO. And that's the goal of the tool, is just basically that you can feel confident like this content gives the best chance to rank. There are obviously other signals, other things going on, but you can feel pretty good about, all right, we've done what we need to do. And that was what we were trying to do with the tool, and that's what we continue to do. So that's the hardest pitch I can give. I don't like to pitch.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
One more question. As far as I can see, after the last Google update, people, I mean my SEO colleagues, people started to decrease the keyword density aggressively to select, to SERP, and to refresh and adjust the positions they have lost just after the update. Could you please tell us, according to your experiments, does it work to decrease the keyword density?
Yeah, actually, that's a feature that we added in POP late last year. I feel like we had an over-optimization toggle. So if I give you a little history, when we were building the tool in 2016, 2017, something that I identified was that a page can be over-optimized and under-optimized at the same time. Meaning, in this section, you've got the term too many times, but in this section, you don't have it enough times. And so then the recommendation was you need to balance those things so you get both within the correct range. Then in like 2018, 19, 20, maybe part of 21, that really went away. Google didn't care about the under part. It was really the goal was to get the terms you're missing onto the page. Excuse me, they didn't care about the over part. I misspoke. They cared about the over. They only cared about the under. So you need to get the terms up to the right range. But it didn't matter if you had something that was too much. It really didn't matter at all. And then it was in 2020, late 2020 and late 21 into 22, that switched back, where it really seemed like now it's actually looking at that over under again. And so then in 2023 we added the over optimization toggle, so that your counts might be good for a range, but your individual usage of a term might be too much. And what we found is then reducing that individual term to get into the correct range is very effective. Now, that said,
I see.
a lot of people though don't do this scientifically. They don't do it mathematically. What they do is they think, oh, I must reduce. And then with having no concept of how many times to reduce or why they should reduce, they just start reducing. And then they'll see their pages tank. Because reducing, de-optimizing is a very high risk, high reward technique. And you must have a basis, you must have a benchmark for why you are reducing, what you're reducing it to, and then you need to keep notes as to what you did. Because if you see the page tank, you need to put those terms back in. So it's hard to give a very like simple one-line answer. They're like, yes, reduce your pages. Because I do think, yes, there are a lot of pages that have that problem. But you need to know where to reduce from. Should you reduce from the paragraph text? Should you reduce from the title tag? Should you reduce from the H2s? You know, maybe there's something you need to increase. You need to have a very mathematical approach to this as to why you're doing it, how much you're going to do, and then you need to keep notes about where you did it. And the problem is that most people are not that organized. That's a lot of no fun right there, and a lot of people won't do that, and it's going to cause they're not going to get any better. Is kind of what's going to end up happening.
So it's better to make several iterations while reducing the keyword density than to just remove half of keywords.
Yeah, go low and slow when you do it, for sure.
Okay, we have a question from our chat. Site dies after September helpful content update. Does it make sense to put the content on the new domain without the rest of the optimization that may have caused the filter? The content is useful and original, for sure it is.
Okay, so this is my opinion. What I think Google was cluing in on with these last couple updates is what we were talking about earlier with doorway pages.
Yeah.
So as an experiment, what I would do is I would take a piece of content that got hit, I would post it on a new site without any outgoing links, just as is, and let's see how it does. And it might do pretty well, especially if you think that it is good content, it is properly optimized. It just does, and so give that a try. We're running some experiments now with that on some pages that got hit to see if we can't get some kind of recovery. Because I don't think it's the content itself. I think it might be the links that were on there and other signals that now Google just hates that site. Now the scary part is I don't know if you can recover that original site. I don't know if it can, because if you remember back in 2012 with Penguin, most of those sites didn't recover. The sites that really got hit by Penguin, especially the ones that were really slapped, they didn't come back. There was partial recovery for other sites. I'm concerned that with this update, something similar where Google just won't like that site ever again if it got hit by this update. So it might be the kind of thing like, let's try putting some content over on a new domain that doesn't have any issues and see how that content performs. And I suspect it's actually going to do okay.
Great idea. Okay, Amar also has another question. Hi, Kyle. When doing cross references for related searches, how do you know a keyword belongs on the page as H2 or a separate supporting page? Any tool for that?
I don't think there's a tool that'll tell you that either. it's one of those things you just have to feel if that content really relates to what you're writing about. I don't. That's kind of where the art of SEO comes in, maybe more than anything. But what I'll do is, I told you the related searches matches. I'm going to do that first. Then I'm going to look at people also ask for the page. That's probably going to, between those two things, that's probably 7 sections right there that you can do. You probably don't need anything more than that for the page. But if you have other people also ask or other related searches, ones that didn't match but they still look pretty good, those can be your supporting pages. That's probably how I go. So between those two things, you can probably get all of your H2s and your supporting content, or at least get a good chunk of it from just doing that. And you don't need any special tools, and it's free to do, and it'll only take a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
Are there any other questions, or I can move forward with my own questions?
Yeah, I'm checking. It's okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Actually, I have a website penalized according to I guess not the last one, but the previous one, Google update about the helpful content, and it is still not recovered. I know what to do, but I have some scaries about that I can't do that. And if to talk more about an off-page optimization, I would like to get from you advice what to monitor the most this year to estimate the backlink profile as the healthy one. What tendencies are the most important?
Yeah, so to your first thing, no one has recovered from last year. I don't know anyone that's had any big recovery or a recovery that's worth like, oh, we're almost back to where we were. I don't know anyone that's recovered, which is really scary. And where are we? September, October, November, December, January, February, March. That's a long time for no recovery.
Yes, 7 months.
Yeah, it tells me that's not coming back. So, which is a very painful thing, I know. When it comes to backlink profile, though, the sites, a lot of the sites that did make it through were very high authority sites, right? And they had high, pick your metric. They had high CF. They had really good trust flow and citation flow. And I'm sure they had good, whatever other metric you like, they were probably pretty high. So I know Google has recently said they don't care about links that much, and I think they've tried to roll back some link usage through I think through their knowledge graph usage, but it still makes sense to me to go after high value links, just because they can say that they don't matter, and then you can see the sites that perform well will have high metrics with solid backlink profiles. So whatever techniques that and you like to build high value backlinks, I would still continue to do that, and I wouldn't stop, even though Google said they don't care about them that much.
By the way,
Okay.
do you use the Google Disavow tool? I'm sorry.
So
do
the
you
only
use the Google Disavow tool? Yeah.
I only use it if I think there is an actual problem, and I would only get concerned personally if I see the toxic links are about equal to the good links. If you've got 80% good and 20% bad, I don't think that's where I start to worry, is when it's 50-50 or even 60-40 bad to good. Then there's something wrong there, and then I would disavow at that point. But if they're mostly good, I think I wouldn't do it, just because I'd be more concerned that I get rid of something of value than something that's toxic.
Kyle, the more I see about link building techniques, the more I understand it look like spam. And how to do link building without it looking like spam? What do you do for this?
I mean, that's more manual outreach, right? The more manual outreach, the better. But if you want just something that this kills me, you can spot a guest post because the first link is going to a target page.
Yeah.
The second link is going to Wikipedia, and then the third link is going to the homepage. All right, that's basically every guest post has 2 links going to the place that bought it and 1 link going to some authority site. The other thing that's always missing on those is a link going to the same site that you got the link from. They have no internal links.
Ah, nice.
And that is insane to me, because what website is not going to link to itself when it has content? It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
So those 3 links that I would do, I do 1 link to my target page, I do 2 links to the same site, and then I don't think Google's ever going to find it.
Okay. Very good
Good
question.
guess.
Yeah. I do not do this. Nice. Yeah, it's very cool. Okay. My friend has a website, and this website was indexed by Google months ago. They always wrote content manually. And then they created last 5 articles using AI. And we suppose that Google indexed this website for these 5 articles. And what they do, they remove AI content. They write, they wrote Google because it was manual actions. And then Google responds that this site is still violating the guidelines. And what to do? What you will do for if you have such a case?
How big is this site? How big are we talking?
More than 1,000 pages.
There's no way that 5 AI pages were a problem. So that's too small of an amount based on how many pages they had there. So, and it was a manual action.
Yes, it's manual actions.
Was it pure spam?
They do not write. They index, and they said that this website is violate the guidelines, and that's it.
Yeah, so I doubt that was AI related, and the ones that got hit that were AI were most of them got pure spam. The pure spam. It's actually one of the choices. Like on the manual actions, they'll say like they're broad site-wide issues with this or that, and then if it's AI, it's usually pure spam. So I would have a hard time believing it was those 5 articles. It'd be something else going on the site that would trigger that. But if it's a manual action and they really truly can't see the issue, I'd be very surprised. That's unusual. Usually when it's a manual action like that, you can be like, yeah, you're right. we did do that thing. It's unusual for the manual action to be really that hidden. So have you personally looked at the site?
Yeah.
And nothing's standing out. It's really weird.
Yeah, wow. It's nothing strange with the website, nothing strange with link building, nothing strange with clacking. There is no such techniques on websites. The main thing they suppose that Google penalties them is these 5 AI articles.
Maybe, but I have a hard time believing that. The site wasn't hacked at all, was there? Is there any malware?
Could you repeat?
Malware.
Was there any malware? Was there a hack involved?
I do not know. Okay.
Maybe that's something to look into.
Yeah, it could be.
They could be spitting out. So sometimes you're spitting out pages on the backside and you don't realize it, and Google's picking those up. Just as maybe one thing to check.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
Something that's kind of fun too. I like McAfee for like my web safe, whatever. I hate it, but it actually will give you a website category. And I saw this one time where the site got railed with a penalty, and they're saying you're doing malicious action or something like that, or like harmful content. And I went to the site and I actually just did a search for the site so I could search for the brand. And then McAfee had the site labeled as pornography. And so what ended up happening is somehow this site got associated with porn, and apparently not good porn. and the site had nothing to do with that. It was just there was now this tag was put on it, so all of these safe browsers were seeing this particular site as something. So doing it through a safe site search tool like McAfee or something like that, maybe you can see how they're categorizing the site and what they think might be on there. That could also be a problem.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
If to talk about AI-generated content, as we have started, I know that a lot of people have a lot of worries about AI-generated content because the tendency is then you are being indexed and then get down in a search engine result page and never return back. Maybe from for the period from September, I guess. And I would like to know: is it possible to create the healthy websites using the AI-generated content only if you aggregate the data? Or you should work only with manually written content, which is for aggregating a lot of data is not is impossible to do.
So the biggest problem with AI content is that it's duplicate content. It's a fancy spinner, so it's not adding anything new to the conversation. So you can certainly start with AI content as like a first draft, as a rough draft, but you must add something to it so that it gets past that duplicate content concept. That you added some proprietary data, you added a unique this or that. The more you edit for brand, tone, facts, adding in something unique, the safer it gets. So you can always start with that, and you can always do it at scale even. You just can't mash buttons like people want to do and then put it on the web. That's just, you can't do that aspect of it. But the more you edit, the more you can absolutely use it. But just don't push, get the content and then post it to the web. The more you edit, the safer it becomes.
And do you check the content if it even if it was written, if generators detect some duplication or not?
If you put the Bible into those things, it says they're AI. It's AI generated. So I don't worry. And maybe God is the ultimate. Maybe God is just an AI, but I don't worry about those detectors too much.
There are some questions from our chat. Hi, Carl. E-E-A-T is Google Map Listen essential? If yes, how to get one for a virtual business?
What I would do for all those is I would have a mailing address. There are a lot of services that offer that you can use. A lot of like co-working spaces in the US and in Europe have a mail service where essentially you get an office. So you'll get a unique address and you can get a unique phone number. The key there is having also a unique phone number, a local phone number. And if you have those two things, then you'll be just fine. I don't know. They're not essential, but it's one of those things you have to tick as many boxes as you can, and you need to be as real as you can. And so I would do it for that purpose, but I understand that it's expensive to do, and it's not easy to do. But I would do them. There's a question right above that I want to answer. Has lorem ipsum been made recently? Do you see that one?
Okay.
From Razul KZ, has lorem ipsum been made recently?
Yeah. Has lorem ipsum been made recently?
Yes, yesterday. I do this every day. I want to make this as clear as possible. I do this all the time. It always works. I'm doing it right now. I've got 4 tests running right now. I just did 2 last week. Yes, absolutely. Works all the time.
I know this phrase until lorem ipsum dolor sit amet, and that's it. I don't remember the rest.
that's perfect. But it was doing the pages in lorem ipsum that I got to rank, which kind of got me famous. But I also have lorem ipsum tattooed on my arm there, so I'm on. It still works. I'm all in on lorem ipsum.
I see. And if you talk about the inspiration, could you advise our users to visit some conferences this year as a must-have, or to read some books?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, please.
Yeah, I know you made the conference in Estonia, in Tallinn. Could you tell us more about this conference? And
Absolutely.
why you decide to make a conference? Because I suppose it's a very huge work to organize all these. Why do this? Why you decided to make this conference? Could you tell us more about this?
I'm good friends with a Carl Kanger is his name, and he's from Tallinn, and he lives in Chiang Mai. I live in Chiang Mai, Thailand,
Oh,
and we're both at a bar.
nice.
we're both at a bar drinking, which is not unusual for us. And we're getting drunk, and I was like, "What's Tallinn like? I've always wanted to go to Tallinn." And I was like, "Are there any SEO conferences there?" And he's like, "No, there aren't any." I was like, "I think we should do a conference." He's like, "I think we should do a conference." Like, we got more drunk. And then the next day we wake up, and I was like, "Should we do that conference? It feels like a good idea."
Cool.
And so we decided to do the conference. We did it last year. It was a great success, and we're doing it again this year. It's June 12, 13, 14. But the big thing about the conference that we liked is that obviously speakers are important, and we have excellent speakers. But the more important thing at a conference is meeting people. It's the
Yes.
networking.
Networking.
And so we have 2 masterminds, we have 3 networking events, and they're set up so that everyone can participate. I know that a lot of us SEOs are really introverted. I know we like to be behind the computer and maybe not meet people, but we have it set up that it's a safe place to meet people. And the other thing about our speakers, all the experts that we have there, is that they're all nice people. They all will spend time. They all want to meet you, and I want to meet people. So when I'm at a conference, that's kind of thing, like you can meet me and we can chat and we can talk SEO. We can just have a beer. It's totally fine. And that's what we were trying to put together so that people can kind of come together, make those connections. That's how business is made. That's how clients are found. That's how projects start, and really how you can grow in SEO. And this year, I know that a lot of people with, HCU and the March update, there's a lot of questions. And so what we're really focusing on this year is just drinking. No kidding. We're focusing on what we can do, what we can do. But yeah, come out and hang out. And also, if you don't like to drink, that's okay. There's also plenty to do as well at all the network events. But yeah, that's what we've got going on. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's just gonna be a blast, and you're gonna learn some stuff too and make some good connections.
So when it's gonna be? Then exactly, I need to book it.
June 12, 13, 14 are the dates.
Mm-hmm. And how many days?
3 days.
2 days.
Yeah.
3 days.
The first day is I think there's like a VIP mastermind thing. I think it's the first day, and then the conference I think officially starts the next 2 days, 13 and 14.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you have some presents for our audience about conference.
Oh, that's right. We have a discount code. Just put in Ukraine, and I think you get the early bird price. So the price has gone up a little bit. Just put in Ukraine as the.
I will show in just a moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you. I completely forgot we did that. So last year at my mastermind table, I actually had 2 people from Ukraine at my table. So there are. You won't be the only Ukrainian showing up.
Is it correct? Ukraine, like this.
That's right. I think do it in all caps. I don't think it matters. I don't think it's case sensitive. But yeah, that's the
okay.
That's the code. Yeah, it's a good time. You meet good people. You meet successful people. The other thing too is you meet people that are doing it. Like they're doing SEO. They're not just talking SEO or being around SEO, but these people are actually doing it. And a lot of them are very successful. So you get around a lot of smart minds, which is very nice, and you have some really good conversations.
Yeah, I like the SEO conference because it's a really good networking.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, we can meet each other, we can communicate, we can find different clients, as you told us, different colleagues, and it's a very good experience for everyone.
And Tallinn's a fun place too. It's a cool little city. It's not very big at all, but they
I've never been there.
They dress up in like the medieval clothes, and they have like the old timey, like they have a whole walking area with like cobblestones and like horses and stuff. It's actually really nice.
I have never been there too, but I have already missed maybe 2 conferences there. So I guess the WIS one I will not miss.
Now's the time. Now's the time. Yeah.
Oksana, we have to go to this conference. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
guess
think
so.
so. I think so.
But my question was not only about the conferences; it was also about the books. And I like reading a lot, and I know that a lot of SEO specialists do the same as me. And I would like to ask you, what is really helpful to read in terms of SEO, and what is not valid anymore, not relevant?
Well, this isn't an SEO book, but I love this book. It's called The Algebra of Happiness. It's by a guy named Scott Galloway. The Algebra is by Scott Galloway, and it's kind of like the idea of like how can you be. It's like pursuing being a very successful person, pursuing being a wealthy person, but also living a good life. You know, and can you be truly happy? I mean, all of us are really driven, right? We're really driven to be successful, and that comes with some challenges as being a human. And so balancing being driven, wanting to be very successful, wanting to make money, and at the same time still being happy while you're doing that. And I think it's not a long book, it's a good read. But one line that I can give you is that he says, if somebody tells you the secret to success is to follow your dreams, you can tell them to fuck off, because they're already rich, you know, and they're trying to pretend, they're trying to make up how they got there, and it wasn't by following their dreams. You know, what he says is that you need to find something that you're good at, that people will pay you to do it, and then you become great at it. And in the process of becoming great, it becomes your passion. And so I can see that within SEO. As I became very good at SEO, I really started to love SEO. But when I was in university, there was no SEO. So if I tried to follow my dreams or follow my passion back in university, I would never have been in SEO because it didn't exist. But SEO now is my passion, and I love it a lot. But it became my passion in the process of becoming good at it. So anyway, that's kind of the tone of the book. I recommend it.
I'm making notes during our meeting, and I just written down their title of the book and a short note that the book is advised by Kyle. And I want to get more advices from you. Could you please tell me what SEO experiments do you plan to make in the nearest future? Could we have any spoilers?
Yeah, I can give you one. We're working on links from PDFs. Can they move the needle?
PDF file? From PDF file?
I can tell you that it works. It works.
It works?
Yeah.
I do such experiment maybe 5 years ago, and
yeah, so it's not going to be the strongest.
I did not notice.
It's not going to be the strongest link you've ever had, for sure. But I can tell you that it moves the needle. I can tell you that it does get factored, and it will count. You know, so
yeah, and everything could change. Yeah.
Yeah. So changed. I mean, that's not going to be the one thing that's going to do it for you, but that's one thing you can do. You know,
very interesting. Okay. There are some also questions from our chat. Just a moment. Amar, when doing Centerpiece annotations, how to add something new to the conversation? I'm not sure what you mean by add something new to the conversation.
There's going to be an element of uniqueness that you can add in, and it's just, you can't write a whole page of unique. That's just not going to work. And then you can't write a whole page of duplicate content. So there's going to be a balance. But you know, there should be some new points that you can add in, or something, you know, a data point, proprietary information, personal experience. Personal experience is always unique. So those are all things that
maybe
you can
new
add
term.
in. Exactly. So that's not the whole article, but that would be part of
Mhm.
it that you can add in, and you can get the personal experience always works.
Color Maps SEO legend. Okay. SEOs are different by being lazy. We need tools to do everything. And influence. If you can see me smile, you are sitting too close.
Sure. I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
Uh, Sealt asked about links from PDF. It works for what? Traffic or link juice?
Juice. They pass
Juice.
juice.
Oh.
Again, I can't tell you it's a ton of juice, but I can tell you they do pass juice. That's kind of part of what I try to do, though. Most people say like, "Oh, this works," or this doesn't, but then they have nothing backing up that. It's just their feeling. Like, I feel that this doesn't work, and they never say like, "I tried it" or "I did this." But so usually with these tests, what I can do is I say, yeah, they definitely do pass juice. Do they pass a lot? I can't tell you how much they pass, but they will be considered in the link graph. Google will crawl the PDF, it will look for the links, it will pass juice.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
By the way,
that.
if you talk about link graphs, what an SEO visualization tool you use the most?
Visualization tool.
Yeah, for graph visualization.
Not too much. I really hate looking at those. Like because they get so messy so fast. So I don't think my ADD brain will let me look at those types of things. I look at most things in spreadsheets. So I'll get the data in some spreadsheet form, and that's how I'll evaluate things.
I like to work with visual models more than with formulas. So, and sometimes I make interesting solutions according to the experiments to proceed this on my website. According to the visualization, I can't estimate it looking only for numbers. So that's why I'm asking, because I hate to see what Screaming Frog builds, but I love these two and to use it often.
No, I can see that a lot where you can visually see the connection between two things and start to connect the dots that way. I totally get it. I just can't look at them. I need the spreadsheet. I need just it boiled down to numbers.
And if you talk about the viral content creation, could you please provide us some inspirational advices?
Viral content.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe if I do like undo one more button, it might get a little more viral.
Oh my god!
I've been thinking about doing like an SEO OnlyFans where I can talk about like, now that we've looked at the canonicals, let's check out our hreflang. I don't know how to make viral content. One thing that's interesting though is that you can use polls and stuff like that to create unique data. So you could poll all of your users, or I was just talking about this a minute ago, but in AdWords, they used to have a feature where you could run ads. There was a poll, and so in order for somebody to get the content, they just had to answer the poll. And I think we did one where it was like we got like 1,000 answers for like $100, and we were able to create a real infographic out of that. So it really wasn't terribly expensive. So you can, and those kind of things can go viral because you can get unique data that way just by running a quick poll, getting some information, creating an infographic out of that, and because it's unique and new, that can take off.
I see. As I can see, you don't like the viral content and to make many experiments with that, but you are at the same time a very bright person in the SEO community. Could you please share us what person, what personalities you are tracking in an SEO world? Who are your advisors?
I look at content from Matt Diggity. Matt's a good friend of mine. I will watch his content. There's Julian Goldie is blowing up right now for AI stuff. I watch him just because it's not anything I'll ever do. I'll never do it, but I like to watch it. I want to see what's going on. But then, I'm on Neil Patel's mailing list, and I like to see what those guys are thinking about. I usually get a lot of information out of that. I'll watch Search Engine Journal just to find testing ideas, because a lot of what they post is nonsense. So I can get stuff ideas. There's usually a treasure trove of testing things that come out of them. Aside from that, that's not too much more. Not too much more that I look at or watch. I do watch my own podcast though. Like, or when I'm on somebody's podcast, I will listen to that. So that's usually how I get around. But I'm only listening to myself in some sort of narcissistic way.
That's normal. Honestly, that was my last question. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
You bet.
Thanks,
You bet.
Igor, that you let me to ask them all. And
That's great. That was perfect. That was perfect. Loved it. Loved it so much.
Okay. A lot of AI content is being created now. And we see that it's very hard for Google to index all this content. What are your expectations? How will Google cope with this AI content, which produced several times faster than maybe 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is Google will throttle it through crawl rate, right? I think as soon as Google starts to realize people can't, like, maybe like a content velocity issue, how many times you've posted before. So normally, if your site went from, we're doing 30 pieces of content a month to 3,000, I think Google will see that as problematic and just will stop crawling it. It'll throttle it that way. So content velocity might be something to it. Any other indicators they have that this is not unique, just purely AI generated content, then they might start to decrease the amount that they're going to crawl. And I think they'll handle the problem that way. That's what they did, a few years ago when people were doing like those mass content sites like SERPshaker and those types of sites. This has already been a problem. Maybe AI has just made it a little more accessible to more people because it's not as technical. But I think it's a problem that they've already had and they've already dealt with. And I think they'll just do it that way through crawl rate first. The next thing they'll do is they'll just kill AdSense. If they suspect that you've done anything, they'll just take your money. And then because they pay out 90 days later, right? There's a 90-day lag before they pay. And in the meantime, if they found that you've done something wrong, then they'll just take 3 months worth of your pay and kill your account. And so they'll take away the monetization of it. That's how they killed a lot in the past too. It's just by taking away the monetary incentive to do that sort of thing, because eventually they will catch it and then you're out all that money.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do we have some time for some questions?
I am a little low on time. I do have dinner coming up with my son. It is important. But maybe like one more question. Can we do one more? One or two? Two.
Okay, two questions.
Okay?
Okay, just a moment. There are some guys who does not ask questions, and we will ask this. Okay, Irina Padalka. How do you think and witness around what are the main mistakes SEO specialists make or focus on methods that do not work?
So the biggest mistake that I think people do is they don't do a 3-month plan. You should know where you're at right now in a 3-month plan. And the reason you want to do that is because then you can evaluate the work that you did. What most SEOs do is they go month to month and they're just like chasing shiny objects. But you really should have a plan. What are you going to do this month, and this month? And then do that. What happens is then you can evaluate the work that you did and then you can tweak. Okay, you know what? I don't think this was as effective and we can kind of tweak this or that. But then by the time you've done that iteration 3 or 4 times, you're going to come up with a 3-month plan that's going to work very well repeatedly. It's important to understand that in SEO, it's a game of probability. You're not going to be right 100% of the time, but you can be more right than your competitors. And the way to do that is through consistency. And so you need to have that plan in place. Like, this is what we're going to do, because we know it doesn't work every time, but it does work most times. And if we continue to grind on it in the long run, we will be more successful than our competitors. And so that's where I think most of the mistakes come in, is just disorganization. Not having that 3-month plan, not even having a really good month plan. Because if you're just constantly chasing around, you won't be able to evaluate what you've done, and you won't be able to see what actually worked and what didn't, what's a good solid plan, what's not. And it'll really hamper your overall success.
Okay, and maybe the last questions from Marco Fedorenko. What are the latest SEO news items that have inspired you to conduct some tests or given you ideas for testing?
Actually what we talked about at the beginning, with people saying that, like, H1s don't matter anymore, stuff like that. That's just complete nonsense. And that's usually across mainstream SEOs. Twitter's a good place to find nonsense as well. If you really want to get some bad advice, follow Twitter SEOs. They're excellent at giving bad advice. So.
Okay. Thank you, Kyle, for this meeting.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Thanks so much.
I also written down the phrase, an SEO is a game of probability. Sounds great.
Yeah. Maybe I should put a quick trademark on that. It's the title of your next book.
I'm happy to get acquainted. Join our meeting, and we will. How soon we will go to Estonia?
That'd be great. That'd be great.
It'll be a great time. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks
a lot.
Bye. Thank you. See ya.
See ya.